before you came to Terre Haute?
Are you
Before
from
I
here?
came, I'm from southern Indiana, from Jasper. And, yeah, well, I came here at the Woods for high school because we had a high school here. And it was for young women aspiring to be sisters. So I came and I entered right after high school. I went to St. Mary the Woods College. I got my degree and was sent to St. Margaret Mary's for my first 2 years. And then I went to Jasper and taught there in the public school system. But many sisters taught in the public school system there for 2 years. And then I was brought onto our renewal team for 4 years. For 2 years, the first 2 years I ever taught, I was teaching at St. Margaret Mary School, and that was from 1968 to 70.
No. So did you just graduated, or did you
I
started your
had just
career there?
finished college, and I was sent there as my first mission, we call it, as
Mission.
Sisters of Providence.
So you were assigned as a teacher
I
initially.
was
then?
assigned as a teacher, yeah.
And then you became the Pastoral Associate then after that?
Much later.
Much later.
Yeah.
When did the Sisters of Providence start teaching, getting started with St. Margaret?
We were in the school from the beginning of the
Oh.
parish's establishment.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we were there early on. I brought a list of the sisters who are still living.
Oh, really?
And we could get you a list of all the sisters that ever
Okay.
taught there, if
Oh,
you'd
yeah,
like
that
to
would
know
be
that.
wonderful, yeah.
Because I live with one of the sisters that works in our archives, and she said, it'll take me a while, but I can get the list of every sister that ever taught at St. Margaret
That'd
Mary.
be good. Yeah, that'd be good. So there are still teachers that are living then that are...
Yes, as a matter of fact, I was saying, Sister Mary Dede is still alive. I brought the list of those living. They have the
Oh.
wrong date on here for me,
Oh.
but ignore that.
Okay.
So these sisters are all living. Actually, Kathleen Dede never taught there. She lived there for
Okay.
like 6 months.
She lives in the convent, the one
Yeah,
across the
right.
corner across.
Actually, no, we had a house we had bought that was on Center Street, and she and I lived there. And then it was torn down and the parking lot was extended.
So when you were in the St. Margaret Mary, where was the church at? The same
Same
area?
location.
The same location.
Yeah.
And then the same like everything, the setup there, where and it's different because it was renovated.
Yes, I was there when we renovated the church. And
So you saw the first church,
I
the
did.
house?
I saw it before well, not the
Not the
house.
So the school, the second church.
The church that's currently there, that structure was
but different
but
orientation.
it was redone internally, and you know that,
Yeah.
Primo, in the early 80s.
Okay.
The church was renovated.
Yeah.
And we went through a long process. I mean, we just didn't go in and say, come in and put this here and that there. We had a lot of planning committees in the parish. And Father Dede brought an architect from New York and a well-known liturgist priest who came and worked with us, conducted in-service opportunities so we could appreciate what a church might look like according to the directives of the Second Vatican Council. So before anything was done, we actually had a lot of people involved in learning and then serving on committees to bring about the renovation. And we had beautiful pictures. That's a memorable occasion. The parishioners literally took the church apart interiorly.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
And it was a great day because the teens were so involved in that. Of course, they loved tearing something up, but they had permission to do it. I mean, we took up everything. The pews were removed and dismantled because they were redone. the tiles were pulled up off of the floor.
Yeah.
And
there's some pictures of it. I saw
yeah,
the
there
album
are,
there.
yes,
yeah.
there are pictures.
So when they were doing all that, where was the mass at?
We use the Breeden Memorial Church that's a few, well, not even a block, about a block down the street on 7th. We, Father Dede talked with the pastor and said, could you accommodate us? And we needed it for our largest, most populated liturgy, which was the last Mass on Sunday morning. And they finished their service. They even changed the time of their services to accommodate to us. And we went in and had the Catholic liturgy, and yes, they were, I totally had spaced that until just now. They were so hospitable.
That's nice.
And the other masses were held in the lower level of what was the school building, or the parish center.
So there were different schedules of mass then? Like now it's just 4
Actually,
o'clock Saturday?
yes, there were 3 masses. Well, Father Dede loved to tell the story that when he arrived, there were 4 Sunday masses, one at 5 in the morning. And he said, I did it one Sunday, the associate did it the next, and we never had another 5 a.m. Sunday Mass. That was the end of it, because there were so few people that attended.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So there was a lot of masses there.
Yeah, about 4 on Sunday morning. But then there wasn't any such thing as a Saturday evening Mass
So
at that
everything was
time.
all Sundays.
That all became, I think historically it happened right about the time that he started as the pastor, that you could have liturgies on Saturday evening in anticipation of Sunday.
Yeah. Now, so as a church, what were the struggles then as a pastoral associate? What can you remember?
I don't remember so many struggles. I made note of one thing that was significant. When we did the renovation of the church, and we made some significant liturgical changes at Margaret Mary's, because Father Dede, even though he was a canon lawyer, had wanted to study liturgy. So he was self-educated around the Vatican II documents and directives and all that. Then I also went to Notre Dame, and I got while I was at the parish, I went 5 summers, got my degree in liturgical studies. So I mean, it was sort of in our bloodstream to do things according to the new directives of the Second Vatican Council, which was turn the altar around, have the people gathered around, distribute communion in both forms, involve many people in ministries. And we were really the first parish to have young girls serving at the altar.
Oh, really?
I'll never forget, the Archbishop wrote this article in the Criterion, and it became official. Girls could serve. And he complimented every parish that never had them up to that point. And I said, we wouldn't have them today if some parish had not blazed the trail to women being more involved in the church.
That's
So
nice.
that's how I felt about it.
You started with Father Dede as a pastor?
Yes. I was finishing up on a renewal team for the congregation, and 2 of us were left, Sister Mary and I, and we did a Lenten program at Margaret Mary's with another Sister of Providence. And Father Dede was sitting there. He had already had a sister pastoral associate, not at that time, but a year or 2 prior. And he said, I would like a sister pastoral associate again. And Marie Kevin kicked me in the shin under the table because I didn't have a ministry that I was going to move into, but I knew I had to get one.
Yeah.
And so I said, after the jolt to my leg, I said, okay, I've never been a pastoral associate. I don't even know what one does.
Yeah.
But I guess I could consider
being
that
one.
possibility. And he said, oh, it's a piece of cake. You could surely be a pastoral associate. So when I was hired, he was going on vacation. And I arrived and said, well, you know, what am I supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, oh, just get acquainted with the shut-ins and the young mothers in the parish. He said, get the list from the secretary, and you can just figure out who to go and visit and talk with. And so that's what I started doing.
Okay.
And there were a lot of shut-ins in the geography of the parish, right within walking distance. So I got very acquainted with many elderly members of the parish. And, you know, I was leisurely because I didn't have much to do. So we'd sit and talk for hours, and I'd have lunch with them or tea with them or whatever. And then there were a lot of young families and mothers that did not work outside the home. And so I called them. I said, would you like to form a group? And honestly, some of those women are still very involved in the parish today, and their children are grown and married, and they have grandchildren, and some of them might be on the verge of great-grandchildren. So it was really remarkable, and a small group of them still get together every year for a week-long vacation.
That's good.
So, and I get together with a couple of them when I can, on occasion. So.
That's good then. That's good. So that's your fondest memory then. What are your...
Well, it's one of my fondest memories, just the whole renovation of the church. But I really thought about a funny story. Before the church was renovated, one of the things I would do with some of the men in the parish was go out and get real trees at Christmas.
Oh.
And one Christmas, I sent 3 guys out, and I didn't go with them. And they drug into the church the largest tree I had ever laid eyes on. They had to cut off feet from the trunk of it, and they put it up in the sanctuary, and we had this monstrosity in the sanctuary for all of the Christmas season. But they had fun doing it. It was a mess, believe me, especially when it was hauled out of there. But anyway, and we had not elderly, but retired men who would go out and get the trees. And then, of course, you know, real trees were banned from churches because of the fire hazard. So anyway.
So were you part, because I saw pictures in the album where there's like bingo and...
We did not have a bingo by the time I arrived. There was bingo to help finance the school. But when the school closed, which was actually the year or 2 after my arrival, bingo stopped.
2 years after you arrived, the school
closed. Yeah, in 78.
Can you tell us more about why that happened?
Well, pretty much 2 reasons why many schools closed. There were fewer children going to the school. You were having to finance and pay teachers real wages because sisters weren't teaching in schools. And the financial burden to the parish was pretty significant. So in that period of a few short years, almost every school in the Terre Haute area closed, with the exception of St. Pat's and Sacred Heart. And I think St. Anne's was preceded the closing of Sacred Heart, and St. Pat, of course, has remained open. And it's sort of the deanery school now, I believe.
The choir too. I I
Oh,
saw you
yes.
in the, yeah.
Yeah, music has been a love of mine, and it's the only thing I can play, my voice. But yes, I've sung for years, and I sing here now in the Church of the Immaculate Conception. I mean, cantor.
Yeah.
But no, I love singing.
And that has been the strength of St. Margaret Mary. Yeah.
Oh, the
From the
music.
very time we came in, the choir was always inspiring. So,
Yes.
and I think that probably helped in the parish being an open, like Sister Marcelina mentioned. But part of that is the choir. You made everybody sing with you.
Yes.
So
Yes.
very inviting.
This Father Gene Walsh, the priest I had mentioned earlier, was a noted liturgist through the country. And I'll never forget when he conducted liturgies one weekend at our parish, and he'd say, "Stop, let's try that again and see if we can really all sing this together." So it was encouraging people to share, to participate,
to worship,
exactly.
yeah.
Because we came out of a time when you didn't participate.
Yeah.
You looked at a book, and if you knew Latin, you could respond,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are the traditions back then that you can remember?
When you gave me that question, I thought, traditions. We used to have fish fries. We had festivals in the early years I was there. But then we established this raffle that's still
The
going
reverse
strong.
raffle. Oh, yeah.
And I think it's 20 years old.
Yeah,
More than 20.
More
I
than
think, yeah.
20. So that became somewhat of a tradition. I think the Epiphany dinner, there was always a parish picnic,
Yep.
and the Andreses really hosted our picnic in the
Yeah,
early
yeah, I
years
saw
that we
pictures of that.
started that.
Yeah, it's
So-
still going on. I think the Epiphany dinner is that the one we face off.
Did it face
Yeah,
off?
Yeah, just recent, I think a year ago.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but the picnic and the parish picnic, and then the what do you call this one? The reverse raffle. is
Yeah,
still
are
going
very
on.
popular. Things change, and that's what I feel is so strong about St. Margaret Mary Parish. People have been able to go with the flow, the ups and the downs, the adaptability, flexibility. I think have been hallmarks of parishioners at Margaret Mary's, and warm. Sister Marcelin spoke to it, welcoming, being open to people coming, and no matter what the person's status in life, just being very warm and receptive and opening and engaging people as much as possible.
I think with St. Margaret Mary too, more of the multicultural, like there's more different ethnicities.
Yes,
that are in the,
multicultural, very much
yeah,
so. Yeah.
in the parish.
Yeah.
So what are your hopes for the future of St. Margaret Mary
Well,
as a church?
my hope would be that the parish would continue to be vibrant, alive. It would be warm and welcoming to all people, and adapt to the needs of the people who come and join the community. And always to draw out the strengths, gifts, talents that people bring with them and engage them in the life of the parish. I think those are important qualities that endure no matter what era of the parish's life. And I think it's remarkable too that when St. Margaret Mary started sharing ministers and committees to some extent with St. Pat's, people became very open, and there's a lot of crossing over
True.
and coming to liturgy there, and people going to St. Patrick's. And I think this is wonderful because it's broken down the sort of parochial boundaries that people were closed in and protective of their turf and their stuff and their whatevers. So it's a day and age in which we have to open boundaries, and if we can exhibit or model openness, to various cultures and peoples of all types. It's what we need in our country right now.
True. Mm-hmm.
You know,
True.
so churches or communities
Yeah.
should certainly be models
Yeah.
of openness
Yeah.
and welcoming.
True. That it shouldn't be exclusive. Like,
Correct.
Yeah. Mhm.
Very much.
Now, what are your advice? What are the advice that you can give to like the present workers or the members of the parish?
Well, I think you are baptized in Christ to be ministers, not only in the parish, but in the world and in your families. So pray that you always respond to the grace to be who you have been baptized to be. You know, in Jesus' name, we're to continue his mission and ministry in the world.
Yeah.
And if we don't do it, who will? So, yes.
That,
Yeah.
continue.
So it's back to we don't have to do a lot that's new and different. We just have to become more committed to who we are as Christians and live our Christianity. Not just talk about it,
Yeah, true.
but live it.
Wow, that's really nice. What are the changes of the church that you noted over the years?
Well, I think we got a little more involved in like social ministry, in justice ministry. The development of a food pantry happened pretty early on when I was in the parish, and it only segued into the
Lighthouse Mission?
no downtown. I'm drawing a blank.
Which one is it?
Not Lighthouse Mission. Salvation Army.
Salvation Army.
That's where we transitioned our pantry and collaborated with other entities. But I think that mindfulness of social outreach, the social mission of the church is really important. And just today, because St. Margaret Mary was the hub of the 3 executions that took place at the federal penitentiary, and just today they announced they will continue executions at the federal prison in Terre Haute at the end of this calendar year and into 2020.
Oh wow, really?
Really, it's on the national news tonight.
Yeah, because I heard, I mean, when Senior Moran was in our building, there was a deacon that visited him. They said it's been 8 years that there's not been an execution.
It's not been since 2002 that there's,
more than then.
it's been about, 18 years since there's been an execution. But the Department of Justice announced today that they will begin again.
That's sad.
And they actually have scheduled 5 in December and January. We were very opposed to the death penalty, and the people we hosted who came from all over the country were there to protest the death penalty. And the Sisters of Providence have ministered to men on death row for years as, spiritual directors. Yeah.
Wow.
And one of them just died this past year, David Hammer, who he wasn't executed, he died a natural death. But he was really mentored spiritually by our sister Rita Claire Gerardo, and he became one of our associates. So in our memorial service during our annual meeting that happened in early July, he was the last person recognized, because we recognize all the sisters and associates who have died in the past year.
Oh, really?
He was baptized
That's nice.
by Archbishop Daniel Beekline. He became a Catholic.
That's nice.
what have you heard about the earlier years of Saint Margaret Mary?
Well, I was there during the time Father McLaughlin was there. I don't know that I heard much about the parish. It was actually, though, I can say this, prominent families were in the parish. A lot of politicians in the community were part of that parish community. So there were well-known people in the city who were part of that community, well-known Catholics in the town or in the city who were part of the community. And I know that the people that were there were always proud of their affiliation with St. Margaret Mary. And, you know, I think people today are happy to be part of the community.
Architecturally, the church is a history.
That's been sort of a two-edged sword. For some people, because it doesn't look like a church, it's never had the appeal for more traditional Catholics. It doesn't look like the inside of St. Benedict's or St. Joseph's or even St. Patrick's. And Father Dede said, yeah, that's true. It looks like a Terre Haute First Bank building. But that's how it was built. And, you know, none of us are even in his time had anything to do with the erection of the structure.
Yeah, because it started like around.
I'm trying to think.
Father
McLaughlin was the pastor when it was built. Prior to that, there was a house. So the parish truly was small, even in its population in the early years.
See, out of the 100 years of St. Margaret Mary, you have 31 years to boast serving the church.
You know what? That's about half of my life. A little over, a little under half of my life, but anyway.
Yeah, well, Sister, we have pleasant memories of you and, of course, the days of Father Dede, and it's been, you know, he probably was the longest term pastor. Of, I don't know how many years I have to look at my history again. But that was really very significant.
I remember coming with him to the Heart Center when it was blessed and dedicated.
Yeah, that's right. We still have the picture in the office.
One of your questions was about my role in the church. And Sister Marie Kavanaugh said to me after 6 years, when are you going to leave from there? And I said, it's all your fault. I'm here and I'm never leaving. But really, my involvements evolved. I was the youth minister for a period of years when I don't know so much with Adam, but anyway, that era of kids, I was the youth minister. I remember when we used to decorate the basement of the rectory for Halloween. That was their big thing. They loved creating this haunted house. And then it got extended through the school, you know, because they loved doing that kind of stuff. And then my last 3 years there, I ran last 10 years, I ran the religious ed program. So
you really evolved.
Well, I got involved in various and sundry things as they were needed. Recently, I went to Mass there one Saturday evening, and I was sitting near the dollies, and Richard said to me, I can remember when you started the maintenance committee, and do you know that's still going on here? He said that was one of the best things you ever did.
The maintenance.
Yeah, because I thought we need a group of guys to take care of what needs to be done around here. You know, again, sort of, you know, giving people what is their rightful place in the church to take care of it, to provide for it, to offer their skills and talents to maintain it.
Make them participate
Yeah.
and be involved.
Right.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It's like a family, so you have to have a part.
And he said, and I'm still on the committee, and I want you to know we have this great guy now that's doing this or that. So anyway, pretty funny.
You've served the St. Margaret Mary for quite a long
A
time.
good big piece of my life. Exactly 31 years, if you put the
Yeah.
2 times I was there. Yeah, 31 years.
That's good.
Yeah, quite a bit.